I like this crowd.
Yeah. Lily Gladstone is the first Native American woman to be nominated for Best Actress. That's right. It's a historic moment her fellow nominees are calling, "Please don't let us win." Gladstone's nomination comes after several Native American actors were snubbed in the past, including Johnny Depp in Lone Ranger.
Melania Trump made a rare public appearance when she attended the funeral of former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who died at the age of 96. Melania said that she was deeply saddened to be reminded that your partner can live that long. President Biden met with Japan's prime minister where they discussed building a new bullet train system in America using advanced Japanese technology. In return, Japan requested the advanced American technology of forks. A self-described anti-woke beer company has created a calendar which features, quote, the most beautiful conservative women in America, which is just a polite way of saying flat asses. All right. Hung Cao, a Republican candidate for Senate in Virginia, criticized drag queens and implied that they are not tough enough to serve in the military, which is sad because Hung Cao is a fantastic drag name.
A new study claims Fremont, California is the happiest city in America, while the saddest city in America is once again Puppy Grave, Indiana. Which, incidentally, is the favorite vacation spot of Mitch McConnell. President Biden visited the southern border on Thursday and was horrified to discover it is being swarmed by criminals and rapists. That's right, both Biden and Trump coincidentally visited the border on the same day, which sounds like the setup for the weirdest rom-com of all time. NBC has announced plans for a spin-off to the hit series Suits, which will be set in Los Angeles. It will focus on Meghan Markle's character's struggle to balance her legal career while also caring for an unemployed immigrant.
It's not a deal breaker, is it?
A man in California was arrested after he went to a Planet Fitness, took off his clothes, and threatened people with a knife, which, to be fair, is the only way Planet Fitness lets you cancel your membership.
Congress passed a bill that makes lynching a federal hate crime punishable by up to 30 years in prison. And they're not messing around. You can get 150 days for just making one up. A number of sports bars around the country are promising to only show women's basketball games during March Madness. The bars are known collectively as the empty ones.
Health officials say that the annual Gridiron Club dinner in Washington, D.C. became a COVID super spreader event with more than 50 high-ranking officials getting infected. The problem was a lot of people took off their masks during the post... In a video on Truth Social, Donald Trump falsely said that Democrats support abortion up to the 9th month and beyond, saying the baby is executed after birth. But he only thinks that happens because when Trump was a baby, a bunch of time travelers showed up trying to kill him.
Nikki Haley has launched a series of campaign ads targeting both Donald Trump and Joe Biden called Grumpy Old Men. Okay, but at least they're men. Chicago became the largest U.S. city to call for a ceasefire in Gaza, and in return, Gaza called for a ceasefire in Chicago. There's no way of knowing what he said.
The CEO of Boeing announced that he's stepping down in the wake of the company's ongoing safety issues, and on his way out, he held up a bunch of nuts and bolts and said, "Good luck figuring out where these were supposed to go." And look, I know this outcome seems shocking, but remember, America's like Leslie Jones, addicted to white guys. I mean, sure, for a while, our friend Barry got us clean and sober for 8 years. But then Uncle Donnie rolled into town with a gold plane and a stack of cash, and he was like, "One more hit of the white stuff won't kill you."
I mean, we're sharing a bed together, and conservatives are all sprawled out in the middle while liberals are on the edge, passive-aggressively tweeting. If we want this relationship to work, we gotta cuddle, man. We gotta talk, get familiar. You can't just wait until you're in desperate need of attention and then poke her in the back with your penis and ask, "You sleep?"
It was reported that Donald Trump has refused to release his medical records, and I bet I know what he's hiding, but I'm not allowed dementia it.
Spirit Airlines shares have fallen 58% after a federal judge blocked a merger with JetBlue. So now the only way Spirit and JetBlue will merge is midair.
Officials at Columbia University complained that protesters broke windows and destroyed school property. But so what? College kids also do that when they win the Final Four. Also, you're a university. If you really don't want students to freak out, stop telling them the truth. That's my advice for school and relationships. President Biden said that the National Guard should not be called in to deal with campus protests, but I'm just happy that he's finally not sending military aid somewhere. It's going to be one of these kind of nights, huh?
Yeah, no. Mitch McConnell, seen here bringing peanuts into a preschool cafeteria, said he will tell Republican senators to vote against additional aid for Ukraine and Israel until there are meaningful changes to the border. But the way it came out was brains.
Two British museums announced that they will return gold and silver artifacts that were looted 150 years ago from Ghana. Unfortunately, there's still nothing they can do about the people looted from Ghana. There is growing interest in man camps where men try to reclaim their masculinity by attending military-style boot camps and getting berated by drill instructors. But then at night, big gay orgy.
Well, just like too much. Well, just like everybody else, President Biden's New Year's resolutions fell apart in the third week of January. The Supreme Court struck down his vaccine mandate, the voting rights bill got blocked, and his approval rating is so low, it's gone into power save mode. After recent events, a biotech company in California is considering changing its name from ISIS Pharmaceuticals, as well as its most popular drug, Boko Harambian. Flacco, the beloved owl that escaped from the Central Park Zoo, died last week after he flew into a building. Flacco will be remembered for his famous last words, "Oh, cool, another owl."
And yes, it is true, Michael Jackson is going to be a father. Already he has hired an entire staff of nannies, nurses, and extra bodyguards, which hopefully will protect the child from Michael Jackson.
March is Women's History Month, so ladies, that cake is not going to bake itself. Before you ladies get angry and send a bunch of messages about how sexist that joke is, let me just remind you to finish baking that cake.
A new study suggests that heavier women get paid less than thinner women. That is, unless Che is at the strip club.
They say black guys don't tip.
In Virginia, police are looking for a stripper who stabbed a man for telling her she was too fat to strip. Police warn that the woman is armed and extremely fat.
Police in California are searching for the person who broke into a woman's house and stole a box containing her late husband's ashes. It's like they always say, no matter what, some bitch is always trying to take your man.
In Detroit, under a new prison rehabilitation program called Fresh Start, employers will get a tax break if they hire an ex-convict. Employers who hire more than one ex-convict will get robbed and killed.
According to the adult website Pornhub, the most searched for term in 30 of the 50 states was lesbian. But keep in mind, Michael travels a lot.
Lonely on the road. Police in South Carolina arrested 3 women in bikinis who were beating up another woman. Said police. All right, break it up. That's enough.
In a recent interview, Christy Brinkley suggested that football players should have special gloves connected to lights on their helmets. That way, when they catch the ball, you'll know who has possession. Read these and other interesting ideas in Christy's new book, I'm an Idiot.
Subway sandwich spokesman Jared Fogle, who pleaded guilty to having sex with minors, was sentenced to 15 years in prison. Fogle said he was just happy to get anything under 18.
How did you think that was going to end? A British sex toy company has constructed a private booth in New York City for men to masturbate in. Good, because I'm getting tired of doing it in Colin's office.
What?
I'm kidding, man. I would never get tired of masturbating in your office.
Oh, man, I sleep in there.
The New York City Transit Authority plans to put up signs in subway stations asking city residents to be more polite when getting on and off the subway. Most New Yorkers say the idea sounds great and that the new signs will make excellent urinals.
California is considering a new law that would fine actors in pornographic movies up to $70,000 if they don't wear condoms, said the porn industry. Oh, yeah? And what are you going to do to us if we don't have the money?
The October issue of Penthouse, now on newsstands, contains a picture billed as, quote, the alien, the world's first authentic photograph. A survey of Penthouse readers finds that 60% think the photo's a fake, while only 40% think it's real. All 100%, however, found it, quote, surprisingly easy to masturbate to.
A new study finds that nearly half of non-smoking teenagers in the U.S. are exposed to secondhand smoke, while the other half don't have stepdads.
A French government survey finds that Disneyland Paris is the most popular tourist attraction in the country. And the most popular ride? Women who don't shave their armpits of the Caribbean.
After just 3 months in prison, former Subway spokesman Jared Fogle has already gained 30 pounds. But that's what happens when your portions stop being child size. Oh, I'm the bad guy.
Yeah. Oregon police arrested a man who tried to steal a 2-foot-long python from a pet store by stuffing it down his pants. Yeah, said the man, I'll give you a hint about which snake in my pants is bigger. It's the one that just bit my penis.
The L.A. District Attorney's Office has given Marsha Clark and Christopher Darden bonuses of over $10,000 for, quote, lengthy hard time duty, unquote, in the O.J. Simpson case. A spokesman for the DA said that the prosecutor's bonuses would have been even higher, except for the fact that they let a killer go free.
Burger King has introduced a Halloween-themed burger that has a black bun. Oh, sure, but when I turn black for Halloween, I'm setting back race relations.
I begged you not to do that.
In what is considered a remarkably short period of time, the head of the Federal Advisory Board, Dr. Peter Mellman, has given speedy approval to a controversial new anti-obesity drug. It should be noted, however, Dr. Melman's wife is a fat pig.
A new survey lists the most romantic city in the country as Alexandria, Virginia, while the least romantic city is once again Flu Farts, Ohio.
A man in Brazil says that a penguin he rescued 5 years ago swims more than 5,000 miles every year just to visit him. That's how good the sex is.
Finally in the news, what is America's most honest city? To find out, a team of sociologists left 10 wallets filled with cash on the street in various urban centers. In Atlanta, 7 of the wallets were returned. In Seattle, 9 of the wallets were returned. But not surprisingly, in New York City, only 1 of the wallets was returned. Empty and shoved up some dead guy's ass. Campaigned in New Jersey, vowing, in his words, to prove Yogi Berra was right when he said, "It ain't over till it's over." Reached for comment, Yogi Berra said, "It's over."
You can't have whatever you want, all right? I know the forefathers said you have the right to own a gun, but they also said you could own people. Which, by the way, if I owned a whole field of jacked Africans, I'd probably want a dozen or so guns too.
Against the Jets last week, Buffalo Bills running back Thurman Thomas broke O.J. Simpson's career rushing record, and the week before, he surpassed Simpson in career touchdowns. Next up for Thomas, an attempt to kill 3 people at once.
A new study suggests that house cats share similar personality traits with African lions, and if they were bigger, they would kill their owners, instead of just waiting for them to die of loneliness.
Doctors have discovered that deer hunters are at an unusually high risk for stress-related heart attacks. Also at high risk for stress-related heart attacks, deer.
A Florida woman found a missing cat from Wisconsin which had wandered nearly 1,500 miles over 2 months. Or, and hear me out, sometimes cats look like other cats.
A team of doctors will soon perform a surgery that uses muscle and skin from a man's arm to give him a new penis, which he was born without. And before the man with no penis goes into surgery, let me just say this. Good luck, Colin. Now that's not...
A female prostitute who was mistaken for a man spent 15 hours in the men's jail in Denver, where she had consensual sex with 2 male prisoners, making that the first time anyone at any time in any prison ever has ever had consensual sex.
A new report says the best place in the world for retirees is Switzerland, while the worst place for retirees is still at the top of a staircase.
Walmart stores have banned singer Sheryl Crow's latest album because of a lyric in one of her songs that says, quote, "Walmart sells guns to children." Oddly, the store made no objection to another lyric in the song, quote, "Walmart sells crap."
Hellmann's has announced that it is releasing an eggless vegan version of its mayonnaise. Hellmann's is calling the product Colin.
It's his month.
Oh, man.
Happy birthday to Mitt Romney, who today turns 69, which for Mormons is a sin.
Simpson had been discussing marriage with girlfriend Paula Barbieri, but reportedly she has called the wedding off. Her fear was that if they married, she would be brutally murdered. And then someone would try to pin it on OJ.
A nurse in New York State has lost her license after she was convicted of taking a picture of an unconscious patient's penis with her phone. Though, in her defense, it was a pretty hilarious use of face swap. What kind of awe?
In economic news, the Mexican peso yesterday sank to an all-time low as it showed up drunk to a family reunion and hit on its cousin, the centavo.
Gen Z icon Kyle Rittenhouse is petitioning the court for the return of his rifle so he can destroy it. I don't know. Careful, Kyle. Trying to get your memorabilia back is how they finally got OJ.
The head of Chicago's police union is urging officers to defy the city's vaccine mandate, which is weird because usually Chicago police can't wait to take the shot. Walmart.
Police in Ohio say that a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times.
Pebbles, who was the world's oldest living dog, has died at the age of 22. But it's okay. His owners knew this was coming if they didn't keep him off my yard.
A new poll shows that 75% of LGBTQ voters support Joe Biden, but 0% of them support Joe Biden guessing what the B, T, and Q stand for.
The Kremlin celebrated the illegal annexation of Ukraine with a night of entertainment in Red Square. Say what you will, but a gig's a gig.
Startup airline Boom Supersonic is hoping to eventually fly passengers anywhere in the world in 4 hours or less for just $100. So get ready to fly fast and cheap on the only airline named after the sound of an explosion. This is fun. A Canadian woman was fined more than $25,000 for illegally importing bull semen. Meanwhile, in the U.S., bull semen is sold legally under the name White Claw.
Doctors in China removed more than 120 magnetic beads swallowed by a 5-year-old boy. Wow. Wait till his boss at the factory hears about this.
The CDC is warning about a salmonella outbreak that's linked to bird feeders. Yet another piece of bad news for people who eat out of bird feeders.
A conductor of a bullet train is facing disciplinary action after he left the controls to use the bathroom while the train was traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. But brother, that chili was traveling at that same speed.
New Italian Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni has been accused of spreading white supremacist ideas, which is crazy. We're now counting Italians as white? Sizzler restaurants have announced that as a result of the impact from COVID, they are filing for bankruptcy, which is probably a good idea since the Sizzler buffet is the closest thing America has to a Wuhan wet market.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the third straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool. Researchers say that a system on the International Space Station that turns astronaut urine into drinking water could be used to provide clean water on Earth, which is the kind of amazing innovation that makes me think, wait, then what are astronaut brownies made of? The chief, well, you're not going to like this. The chief of the Cherokee Nation is calling on car maker Jeep to stop using the tribe's name on its vehicles. So Jeep has agreed to change the name to, wow, the Aunt Jemima Mobile.
Singer R. Kelly was found guilty of racketeering and sex trafficking this week, but won't be sentenced until next May, after R. Kelly's lawyers successfully negotiated one more school year. officials at Columbia University complained that protesters broke windows and destroyed school property. But so what? College kids also do that when they win the Final Four. Also, you're a university. If you really don't want students to freak out, stop telling them the truth. That's my advice for school and relationships.
It's a nice place. At a White House ceremony honoring the WNBA champion Las Vegas Aces, President Biden mistakenly called player Candace Parker one of the greatest all-time coaches. Worse, he thought this.
Israeli officials are reportedly furious after the U.S. withheld a shipment of weapons. But yes, sometimes people get angry at their intervention. All right, President Biden on Tuesday issued a call to fight hate against anti-Semitism, saying there is no place for it in America. But on the other hand, Collins Country Club. Court with them. But that's not true. What about all those cops?
Oh my God. A group of geneticists have announced plans to bring back the dodo and reintroduce it to Africa. And if you ask me, I can think of at least one dodo I'd like to reintroduce to Africa. Former President Donald Trump, seen here definitely not sleeping. He's probably just praying. Former President Trump, for the first time in his trial, wrote a message on a yellow Post-it note and handed it to his lawyer while he was making an argument. The Post-it read simply, "Can't pay you."
Iowa's Final Four game against UConn was the most watched women's college basketball game ever, with 14.2 million viewers, beating the previous record by 14.2 million viewers. Who revealed this week that he had a parasitic brainworm, posted on X, "I offered to eat 5 more brainworms and still beat President Trump and President Biden in a debate," which is such an insane thing to probably be right about.
A museum in France is using an AI-generated version of Vincent van Gogh to answer visitors' questions about his paintings. Unfortunately, the AI keeps responding to questions with, "What?"
Melania Trump made a rare public appearance when she attended the funeral of former First Lady Rosalynn Carter, who died at the age of 96. Melania said that she was deeply saddened to be reminded that your partner can live that long. Elon Musk met with Benjamin Netanyahu this week and agreed that Israel must destroy Hamas. And I think Musk could destroy Hamas almost instantly by becoming their CEO.
A United Airlines flight from Germany was forced to return to the airport after the toilet broke and leaked into the cabin. Though it's the perfect punishment for people who take their shoes off on planes. Primate expert Jane Goodall celebrated her 90th birthday by gathering together with 90 dogs, then feeding them all to her apes.
Weather experts are forecasting that this year will see the highest number of hurricanes ever, thanks to an abnormally active summer of gay weddings. A stone vial discovered in Iran contained a red cosmetic that experts say was likely used as lipstick nearly 4,000 years ago by an ancient skank. From Singapore has gone viral with a video telling people that they can get relief from constipation by sitting on the toilet cross-legged. So that's what they mean when they say crisscross applesauce. I get it now.
Oh, no. A new census report shows that by the end of the year 2060, 1 out of every 4 Americans will be Latino. That's how good Bad Bunny's music is. Jill, if you're here, who's...
Last week, HBO aired Leaving Neverland, a documentary detailing multiple child molestation charges against Michael Jackson. And they say this doc has done more damage to Michael Jackson than his last doc, Dr. Conrad Murray. At the conference, President Biden was asked if he plans to run for re-election in 2024, which is probably the nicest way to ask him if he plans to be alive in 3 years.
Nevada's famed Moonlight Bunny Ranch brothel is searching for a quality control tester who will be paid to have sex with prostitutes and rate their performance. The prostitutes will be graded on a scale from F to don't F. According to an annual ranking by Orkin Pest Control, the places in America with the worst bedbug problems are Chicago, Detroit, and your mama.
The population of Los Angeles has fallen for the 3rd straight year. Well, it's like Colin always says, LA is just not the same without Harvey. You always say it, man.
Cool. Thanks, man. That's cool.
A new report shows that half of the dogs in the U.S. are overweight, which explains why the most popular breed in America is the Type 2 Dire Beagle. A British version of RuPaul's Drag Race will begin airing next year on the BBC. And because it's England, their penises will be tucked to the right side.
Trump said him getting COVID was, quote, a blessing from God. And I bet even God was like, hey, we tried, guys.
Kim Kardashian revealed that she plans to take the bar exam and become a lawyer in 3 years. And I think she can do it. I mean, it only took Kanye a couple years to go to space.
A New Jersey woman who posts pictures of herself rock climbing while naked says that it is not pornographic, but I don't know, that rock looks pretty hard.
Police in Ohio say that a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times.
Jay-Z has launched a line of cannabis products called Monogram. So just a quick reminder to all the women that told me I need to grow up. Beyonce is married to a 50-year-old weed guy. So God ain't done with me yet. Tyler Perry is developing a new TV series that explores the origin of his character Medea, weirdly as part of his new superhero franchise, The Avengers. Virginia has become the first state in the South to abolish the death penalty. So if you'll excuse me, I've got some white women to whistle at. It was revealed that Freddie, the world's tallest dog, has died. The cause of death has been listed as ceiling fan.
Scientists have discovered a new species of jellyfish with a transient anus that appears only when it needs to expel waste and on its husband's birthday.
The makers of Aunt Jemima products, which have been criticized for using racist imagery, are finally changing the name to Pearl Milling Company. Pearl Milling is the name of the white lady who owned Aunt Jemima. A woman in Slovakia helped arrest a man robbing a gas station by performing oral sex on him until police arrived. The woman was able to stall him for that long by being terrible at it.
Aviation officials report that 2 Irish pilots claim they saw an unidentified flying object. But keep in mind, Irish pilot is also the highest reading on a breathalyzer.
A new study by astronomers finds that the galaxy is not as black as previously thought after it was seen dating a white lady. A painting by Pablo Picasso portraying his lover as a sea creature was sold at auction for $67 million. It's a beautiful abstract expression of his love and admiration that he named Titty Squid.
Almost 100 art industry figures have criticized 4 different museum plans to postpone exhibits featuring an artist's paintings of the KKK. But if you want to see portraits of Klansmen, you can always search Jost on Ancestry.com.
Okay, well, whatever.
And if this life takes me before I get a chance.
Pope Francis has appointed 2 women to Vatican posts that were previously only held by men. Apparently, God came to him in a dream and told him he could pay women less. Residents in Rome are upset after a wild boar and her 6 piglets were killed on a playground near the Vatican. But it's like they say, nothing good ever happens on a playground near the Vatican. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
A woman in Utah survived after her SUV got stuck in the snow and mud for nearly a week. The woman says she couldn't have made it without her children, her delicious, delicious children.
A British woman was shocked when she discovered a 4-foot-long python in her toilet. But hey, that's Indian food for you.
You wish you could go back to the Grand Canyon joke, yeah.
In China was arrested after she cut off her husband's penis, then later went to the hospital where it had been reattached and cut it off a second time. You see, that kind of work ethic is exactly why China is beating the U.S.
Navy officials boarded a ship in the Arabian Sea and discovered a weapon stash so large that it covered the deck of a U.S. missile ship. Fortunately, the weapons are being returned to the U.S. where they can be safely sold to the mentally disturbed. An American Airlines pilot reported that during a flight over New Mexico, he saw a long cylinder object come close to his plane. Sorry, that was just our engine, said United. Virgin Atlantic Airlines announced that it will no longer require female flight attendants to wear makeup and skirts, just as long as their husbands sign the consent form. A conductor of a bullet train is facing disciplinary action after he left the controls to use the bathroom while the train was traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. But brother, that chili was traveling at that same speed. 2 male penguins in a same-sex relationship have hatched their first egg. Or, and hear me out, male penguins look exactly like female penguins. A woman in Arizona gave birth to a 14-pound baby boy. So now Arizona has 2 Grand Canyons. It's a math joke. I'm surprised you didn't get it.
Oh, my God.
A sailor who fell overboard survived for 14 hours in the Pacific Ocean by floating on a large piece of garbage. Sorry, that was our other engine, said United.
Trump advisor Stephen Miller also wants to hold migrants seeking asylum in tent cities. Fun fact, tent city is also what Stephen Miller gets anytime a girl talks to him. Archaeologists have discovered 1,000-year-old drawings in a cave in Alabama, and guys, they're bad. They're really bad drawings. Pope Francis has appointed 2 women to Vatican posts that were previously only held by men. Apparently, God came to him in a dream and told him he could pay women less. It was revealed that Freddie, the world's tallest dog, has died. The cause of death has been listed as ceiling fan. President Biden signed an executive order urging U.S. agencies to buy American-made products. Unfortunately, the only products still made in America are tactical gear for white militias and student loan debt. Drake has released a line of scented candles that smell like him. And unfortunately, so has DJ Khaled. Oh boy, a 102-year-old woman from New York who survived the 1918 Spanish flu has now beat coronavirus twice. But sadly, she was no match for my car. Residents in Rome are upset after a wild boar and her 6 piglets were killed on a playground near the Vatican. But it's like they say, nothing good ever happens on a playground near the Vatican. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. A school in Virginia is returning a wallet to a woman 70 years after she lost it in the school gym. Well, how do you like that? Said a black man still in jail for stealing it. With Raphael Warnock's win, Democrats in the Senate will no longer have to rely on Vice President Harris for tie-breaking votes. Harris can now focus on her main priority, waiting for a worse bike accident. Nike has officially cut ties with Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving over his anti-Semitism scandal. Kyrie says he's so depressed he might jump off the edge of the world. A new album from R. Kelly was removed from streaming sites several hours after being uploaded. And it was not easy to remove his streams, said the maid who cleaned his couch.
On Christmas.
France announced that it will start providing free condoms for people between the ages of 18 and 25. Cool. Now do deodorant. Orthodox Jewish leaders in New York City lashed out at a newly imposed coronavirus restriction in their neighborhoods by setting fires and burning masks. And it's a miracle because the mask burned for 8 nights.
Come on, dude.
That's a good one. Come on. Stop it. Stop it. Pennsylvania police arrested a man who tried to rent a horse online so that he and his wife could have sex with the animal. But the man had no idea that the whole time he was actually chatting with a police horse. Thank you. Almost 100 art industry figures have criticized 4 different museum plans to postpone exhibits featuring an artist's paintings of the KKK. But if you want to see portraits of Klansmen, you can always search Jost on Ancestry.com. Okay, well, whatever. In the wake of the ceasefire agreement between Israel and Hamas, insiders praised President Biden's light touch when dealing with Benjamin Netanyahu. But in fairness, everything Biden does involves some kind of touch. Doctors in China removed more than 120 magnetic beads swallowed by a 5-year-old boy. Wow. Wait till his boss at the factory hears about this. Researchers in Nova Scotia have found a 50-year-old great white shark that they're calling Queen of the Ocean because he gay as hell. Man, Popeye's Chicken announced that they're bringing back Cajun-style turkeys for Thanksgiving. It's a rare piece of good news for people who spend Thanksgiving at Popeye's. Fisher-Price has launched an online museum showcasing its toys over the past 90 years. Or you can see them in person at America's most famous toy museum, the Neverland Ranch. Police in Ohio say that a report of a homeless man sleeping on a bench turned out to be a statue, which was a huge relief because they shot it 15 times. Tyler Perry is developing a new TV series that explores the origin of his character Medea, weirdly as part of his new superhero franchise, The Avengers. The U.S. men's soccer team failed to qualify for the Olympics for the 3rd time in a row. But fellas, keep your heads up and remember that win or lose, you will always get paid more than the women's team. It's true. It was reported that adult model Belle Delphine is making over $1 million a month by selling her used bathwater, which is crazy because it doesn't taste that good. Israel is reporting that they vaccinated half of their population, and I'm going to guess it's the Jewish half. A former advisor to New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has accused him of sexually harassing her for years, making him the odds-on favorite for the 2024 nomination. You're not gonna like the rest of these. Cuomo denies the allegations, claiming that he would never be inappropriate to any broad with friggin' dynamite bazoombas. Childish Gambino's This Is America made history when it became the first rap song to win Song of the Year at the Grammys. If you're wondering why it took so long for a rapper to win this award, it's because this is America.
Trump said him getting COVID was, quote, a blessing from God. And I bet even God was like, hey, we tried, guys. Starbucks has launched a new eco-friendly program called Borrow a Cup, in which customers return their cup after finishing their drink so the store can use it again. And Dunkin' Donuts plans to compete with this promotion by not doing that. The CDC is facing criticism for its mixed messaging regarding the coronavirus. And you know what? I have to agree with this because all year the CDC has been texting me saying that I was eligible for the vaccine, but every time I clicked the link, it was just a picture of this guy.
New Yorker reporter Jeffrey Toobin has been suspended after getting caught masturbating on a Zoom call. And he's from the New Yorker, so you know that jerk was dry as hell.
Oh my God.
The owner of a bakery was sued after she refused the customer's request to write "God hates homosexuality" on a cake. All right, then change it to "I'm running for president," said Rick Santorum. It was reported that North Korean hackers stole a number of military documents from South Korea, including a plan to assassinate Kim Jong-un, though all the plan says is, wait for diabetes. A candy store in Los Angeles has created a 440-pound peanut butter cup. It's called SEAOH.
At the conference, President Biden was asked if he plans to run for re-election in 2024, which is probably the nicest way to ask him if he plans to be alive in 3 years. Virginia has become the first state in the South to abolish the death penalty. So if you'll excuse me, I've got some white women to whistle at. During a congressional hearing, Mark Zuckerberg confirmed that he was creating an Instagram for kids. Wow, an app filled with pictures of just kids? I mean, what could go wrong? Yankees legend Whitey Ford died this week at the age of 91. Ford reminds us of a simpler time when you could just name your kid Whitey.
It is dark.
A woman in Slovakia helped arrest a man robbing a gas station by performing oral sex on him until police arrived. The woman was able to stall him for that long by being terrible at it. A New Jersey woman who posts pictures of herself rock climbing while naked says that it is not pornographic, but I don't know, that rock looks pretty hard. The makers of Aunt Jemima products, which have been criticized for using racist imagery, are finally changing the name to Pearl Milling Company. Pearl Milling is the name of the white lady who owned Aunt Jemima. Tom Cruise was recorded on the set of the new Mission Impossible movie yelling at the crew for violating COVID restrictions. Apparently, the crew was using camera tricks to make it appear like they were separated by 6 feet, when in reality it was closer to 5'4". A conductor of a bullet train is facing disciplinary action after he left the controls to use the bathroom while the train was traveling at nearly 100 miles an hour. But brother, that chili was traveling at that same speed. Taylor Swift has released an album of re-recorded versions of her album Fearless, which she first made when she was 18. Wow, that's impressive, because if I released an album of things I wrote when I was 18, I would be fired immediately. Texas police arrested a woman who broke into a man's house, stripped naked, and slept in one of his beds. The man called the police when he realized the woman was not attractive.
In Times Square returned a lost wallet filled with $4,000 cash to its rightful owner. When told how much money was in the returned wallet, the man replied, It was reported that a Taco Bell in Chicago may soon start selling alcohol, which is weird because usually it's alcohol that sells Taco Bell. Disney employees were upset that the company took so long to condemn Florida's proposed Don't Say Gay bill, although at Disney they actually don't say gay, they say Timon and Pumbaa. This week, Jeb Bush said that he would go back in time and kill Adolf Hitler as a baby, a move that would have left Germany in the weak, bumbling hands of Adolf's brother, Jeb Hitler. A video has been posted of a porn star and her boyfriend having sex in a Tesla while it was driving in autopilot. And amazingly, no one was rear-ended. Apple has introduced a new line of emojis to represent people with disabilities, such as a person in a wheelchair, or someone who is deaf, or the governor of Virginia. According to a new study, marijuana is the safest recreational drug people can use. Huh, interesting, said 1 million black dudes in jail for marijuana. At this year's International Water Tasting Contest, Hamilton, Ohio won for having the best tasting water, while the town with the worst tasting water is Dookieville, Illinois. Archaeologists in Israel have discovered a 1,500-year-old winery. Wow, it's crazy that Jewish people have been making wine for that long and they still haven't gotten any good at it. A brand of peanut butter is being sold called Steam, which contains more caffeine than a Red Bull. Perfect for that creep who wants their dog to just go to town down there. People magazine has named Idris Elba 2018 Sexiest Man Alive. Idris Elba is also what your wife calls that thing she hides in her dresser. A man on an African safari fell off a horse while being chased by a lion. Well, that was a close one, said the horse. West Virginia has emerged as a leader in the country for distributing the coronavirus vaccine. They were able to get people to come in for the vaccinations by simply putting up a sign.